Hi.
Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a lowest downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You clear to land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RB, maybe an RB-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Wow, we got it nearly.
Hello, everybody. What a super smooth start it is to the Livestream Extra. There were more people on there than there should have been, and that's all because I got a bit messed up and I went
literally the last couple of seconds I was going, I think there's going to be too many people on screen, and it's like, quick, no.
Like the beginning of the Muppet Show in more ways than one.
It's like the beginning of the Muppet Show. Well, it's good to be back, and I apologize for that. So I kind of decided it was all going to be super slick and super smooth, and clearly I got that bit wrong. So first things first, let's try and remember what to do here. The first thing we would like to do is to hugely thank SkyDemon for supporting the live stream. Thank you very much, SkyDemon. It means a huge amount to us. Here is your brand new tip for the week, and there's more along the lines of this one to come. So watch carefully, particularly if you've got a permit aircraft.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and this is this week's top tip. SkyDemon 4 introduces the ability to talk to traditional cockpit avionics via RS-232 by using a wireless Bluetooth adapter like this one. You'll need your avionics engineer to make the physical connection between the adapter and the avionics, and you can point them to page 97 of the user guide for more details on this. Once the hardware connection is done, it's really easy to set up on the SkyDemon side. Open the Setup menu and choose Connectivity. At the bottom, you'll see a Bluetooth section. SkyDemon works with Bluetooth LE devices, which means low energy. There's no pairing process, they just work straight away. Make sure your device is turned on, and then choose Add Bluetooth Device. It will appear almost immediately. Select it, and then you can give it a name. We suggest giving it the name of whatever avionics are connected to it. Then tell SkyDemon what type of avionics are connected, and press Save. And that's it. If you go back into Setup and Connectivity, you'll see your new device under Bluetooth. Come back soon for more videos on how to use this functionality. For more information, go to our website, skydemon.aero.
I'm going to go out there and say that is one of the most brilliant things SkyDemon has ever done.
And they've done a lot of brilliant things.
They have done a lot of brilliant. You can send stuff to autopilot, to a little HSI, all sorts of little things. It's going to be really good. I suspect there's going to be hopefully there'll be a bit of pressure on EASA and then the CAA to maybe include that kind of thing in CS Stan or something, so it's relatively easy to do. And then we'll be able to have it. All of us will be able to have it then. That would be great. And it's cheap as chips, those little Bluetooth connectors. Johnny bought one from Woolies or somewhere, pick and mix, the other day for 32p or something.
Yeah,
no, pretty bloody good, I think. Pretty bloody good.
Anyway, the question is, Mike Roberts says £20 on the weather being crap. Mike, I think you might be surprised. And what we need is a weather forecaster to tell us if what we're expecting, because a few people are going, well, actually, Deal and Barbecue beckons this Sunday. Is it going to be good enough?
They're all getting ahead of themselves. We haven't even got to the events bit. Let me bring on Simon.
I'll look for a forecaster. I can't find one, so I'll have to do. I'll take you 20 quid. That's the answer to that.
That's not right.
That's definitely not right. I think that's.
What is that?
How's that?
Hang on.
No. Oh. Leave it to me. I've got control.
You have control. There we go.
Hey, that's better. See, yeah, I was saying I'll take the £20 on it actually, because it looks like being a half decent weekend.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Give us some detail then, Simon.
You want some? Okay, let's bring up the charts then. Let's get the graphics on. There we go. So I wanted to start first of all today with this picture, just because I like the picture actually, but also because I get asked at weather school a lot about what does it actually look like when you're flying towards or away from a trough, and this is pretty much it. This was yesterday. I just grabbed this shot. I know it's not particularly the best, but this is the back end of a trough area which extended about sort of 90 miles through the Midlands west to east yesterday. This is Cunham. Tops on that were about sort of 25 to 30,000 feet, and that's that wall of cloud that is associated with the trough, which is why I always say avoid them. You can fly ahead, you can fly behind, but always avoid troughs and convergence zones. That's what it will look like, and it can suck you in because actually you think, oh, I can actually fly around that, but it's a very, very turbulent area to fly. So if you want to know what a trough looks like, that's pretty much it. Secondly, I just wanted to show you this one. This is a great little chart that I found today. This is the upper air charts, the SIG weather chart that commercial pilots use when they're flying around, and this is valid for 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I just wanted to point out here, look, these what's this bit? Here we go. These isolated embedded QNIMs that you can see here over Central Africa, tops 54,000 feet. Wow. And across the Atlantic here, hold on, let's get to it. Tops here, 53,000 feet. So we think we've got big clouds. Those would be sort of effectively double the depth of that one. So, you know, some real deep stuff there. Anyway, let's get on to the forecast. This is how tomorrow looks. High pressure building in through the course of tomorrow. Looks like being a decent day. Not that much cloud around. Tops probably, base is probably around 4,000 feet. Tops about 7,000 feet. Little bit of drizzle in Western Ireland, but overall, it's going to be a very pleasant day through Friday. Saturday, high pressure down towards the south on Saturday, but again, another fair day. Fronts well out west. Yes, an increasing wind for northwest Scotland, for western parts of Ireland, but generally good flying conditions again. You can see here on the cloud-based forecast, really nothing showing up apart from over the hills of northern England, so sort of the northern Pennines, the southern uplands, over the hills of Scotland. But generally, it looks like bases around 3,000 to 5,000 feet. Tops probably about 7,000 to 8,000 feet for most of us. A very pleasant day on Saturday, good visibility as well. Sunday changes a little bit across northern England, perhaps northern and western Wales, as this front sort of tries to make its way southwards. I think along that, the bases could be at about 1,000 to 1,500 feet tops, about 8,000 to 10,000 feet. Not much energy left in it, just little bits and pieces of rain around. Following into Scotland, there's a trough line coming into the west of Scotland. Some heavy showers here, but eastern Scotland, Northern Ireland, both looking pretty good. And for central, southern, eastern parts of England and for the east and south of Wales, it looks like being a decent day. Probably more cloud around, bases of around 3,000 feet tops at about 8,000 to 10,000 feet, but that cloud well broken and just light winds. So actually, pretty decent conditions. If you want to know more about the weather, get yourself along to Aviation Weather School. My next online course begins this Wednesday, and it will take place on this Wednesday, the 18th, and the following Wednesday, the 25th. An evening course runs from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m, presented live by me, you lucky things, and I'll simply just get you flying more. So have a great weekend of flying. The weather looks pretty good. Get out there. Next week's not looking too bad either. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Well, we'll have that forecast again.
Hang on a second.
Simon, you're now replacing Ed.
Where's Ed gone?
Yeah, we must have had an issue.
What the hell happened there?
I don't know, Ed. We were just talking about you and you disappeared.
Okay.
We weren't actually talking about you. I don't know. Simon magicked you away. Who knows? It's just whatever. Anyway, here we are. So it must be time for Annabelle to tell us all the good news. But before you do, I'm going to make a little plea to you peeps out there watching. Do us a favour. And I'm not going to talk about joining the Fleur Club. I'll leave that to Annabelle. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will cost you nothing and it will help us out. So give us a subscribe and a like while you're at it. But subscribe's more important. Thank you.
But before we do that, do you want to ask the question of the week?
Nah, okay.
Okay, we'll skip that.
That's Ed's job.
Okay. Question of the week. I didn't know that was my. Is this bit Ed? It says in the running order. I guess it is. Question of the week. Have you got a flying season? Have you got a favourite flying season? Is it autumn, perhaps, the one that we're in now? Personally, I do like autumn. But tell us in the comments, what is your favourite flying season? Or maybe if you're like Paul Cadell and you don't believe in the flying season thing, so the whole year is your oyster.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just have a quick run round. Johnny, what's your favourite season?
Spring.
Annabelle?
Spring.
I'll go for summer. Why not?
Seems
Because it
reasonable.
because it
Clear
rains.
Cloud says it's whatever season is actually flyable. Did anyone feel like we haven't? I know we're into autumn, but it's like, hang on, as summer, no, we haven't exactly had summer yet.
Where did
There
the
were
flight season
2
go?
days. There was a weekend a few weeks ago
Oh, good. Yeah.
when it was nice and hot, but not too hot. So that was summer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway,
Literally. Yeah.
Fly Club members free landing fees this month. And since we've got the weather coming up, you can use them. Jersey, and Beccles, who are both, I think, new for us. So thank you guys for supporting us there. Netherthorpe and Enniskillen, who are long-term supporters as well. So yeah, that's great. I'd really like to know if anyone managed to do all of those, especially if they did them in one day.
That would be impressive.
It's called Porky Dell.
Yeah.
Next week, we have the next webinar, which is Lucy Whitten from the LAA. So Lucy's going to be talking to us about permit maintenance and how pilots can and should work with their inspectors. If you missed the last webinar with Andy from Andark, that was brilliant. Remember that as a member, you can watch that on Catch Up, and we're still talking about doing an in-person dunking course. Remember, all of that, just £5 a month.
Bargain.
It's got to be the best deal in aviation, surely.
I think we should make 2024 the year of the price rise as well. We've been overdue a price rise for a couple of years.
Well, sadly, prices are going up everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's do our bit for inflation.
Big Old Spy Plane says Friday at the LA rally was the summer. That was an amazing day.
It's probably right. Right, time for some news. Let's move on. Okay, so in typical CA style, sometime this afternoon, the comment response document to their licensing simplification process dropped. So it's just what we need on a Thursday. There's a whole bloody thing to read. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. I had a quick look through, and this is the second tranche. You remember the first one kind of said, "What do you want us to do? We'll go and do what we wanted to do." The second one said, "This is what we're thinking. What do you think about it?" And this one kind of says, We've asked your question. We've listened. Where you agreed with us, we're going to do it, and where you disagreed with us, we're probably still going to do it. And where we're not sure, we're going to kick the can down the road. But anyway, I had a quick look at a few bits and pieces. So just remember, this is non-commercial stuff only. It stems from the second consultation. The plan, for what it's worth, is that legislation should be put forward before Parliament sometime in 2025, with another tranche of it in 2026, because there's too much to do now. So things like class ratings and instrument ratings and theoretical knowledge bits and pieces, that's going to be probably 2026. In terms of bad news, I was a little bit shocked, to be honest. There were only 640 responses to the consultation. Now, given there's 30,000 pilots out there, roughly speaking, and given that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to have your say on on licensing, 640 is, well, pretty
quite low.
I think, yeah, we could have done better. We should have done better. We didn't. I don't know. Perhaps our guest Sarah later can explain why the apathy, why as humans we're sometimes apathetic. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe not. So just a couple of highlights for the sub-ICAO license. There's lots to talk about because we've got like a gazillion licenses at the moment. It's kind of pick your own license, isn't it? So there's going to be basically one license, and it's going to be called an NPPL. They wondered about calling it a private pilot's license light and all the rest of it, if you remember. But it's going to be called an NPPL, not an MPPPL. And it's going to be basically microlights, SEPs, and TMGs are going to be the three things on there. They are going to be. They're kind of keen to stick to ICAO stuff until there's a reason not to. That reason up to and including the fact that they don't like it, obviously. There's going to be a 35-hour PPL if you go through an ATO, so the course will come down to 35 hours. Wow. Not expected that many people are going to manage to get through in 35 hours at an ATO. You need to be pretty sharp and pretty on it, doing it pretty much every day. If you only go to a DTO, sorry, I shouldn't have said if you only go to a DTO. If you go to a DTO instead of an ATO, then it'll be reduced from 45 down to 40. Flight time on previous 3-axis microlights can be credited. This is a good thing. It doesn't mean, and there are pains to point out, that you won't be able to do your kind of a PPLA on a microlight, but it does mean that there's a much easier route from an MPPL microlight up to a full PPL, because a lot of those hours will be credited. A lot of the details still to be worked out, and the devil is, of course, in the detail. In terms of theoretical knowledge, they're talking about going from 9 subjects down to 7 subjects. They actually skipped the opportunity to go down to 2 subjects, which would have been better. But they're thinking about 7, but there's a bit of vacillation over whether how much it's going to cost them to get their third-party suppliers to do that. So I suspect that will get kicked down the road a bit, and we'll probably end up with 9 subjects for quite a while. That's just my guess. On the good point, I don't know if you're a twin pilot, you'll know that the rules changed, and it meant every time you change a twin, you have to get supplementary training for each particular type of twin. At least in the UK and Europe, that doesn't work like that. In the US, twin ratings are twin ratings, a twin rating. It looks like that we may well adopt that, and it will just be some differences training when you move between twins, which is a good thing. As I've said earlier, the one single sub-ICAO license. The good thing is moving between the privileges on the single ICAO license. If you've got a microlight and you want to go to SEP or SEP to microlight or TMG or the rest of it, there will be no flight test involved. It will effectively just be extra instruction, sort of checking out on them, which is a good light touch. Well done, CEA. You got that one right. So the initial rating obviously will require a skills test, but the other one won't. And the other bit of good news on that is for your initial issue of an MPPL, you will only require a PMD. You won't have to go through the hoops of getting a Class 2 medical and then drop down to a PMD. You'll be able to get the license issued, of the sub-ICAO license, that is, with a PMD, which is pretty good news. There's been a bit of confusion. There is still a bit of confusion around LAPL, which has rolling validity, and PPLAs, if you like, which kind of have a time validity. That's all gonna be harmonized. So everyone's validity will be the same, and it will become the kind of effectively 12 hours in 2 years, 6 hours of which can be done in the first year, and the instructor hour can be done at any time during the 2 years. So they've kind of missed the opportunity to super simplify it, but they have simplified it, and there may be some other simplifications in there. So and that will change for LAPL holders. In fact, the LAPL's going away. I think once all this has changed, there will be no more LAPLs. The IMC rating, the IRR, if that's what you'd like to call it, will be added. You'd be able to add that to an MPPL SEP. There's no point in adding it to an MPPL microlight, I should say, sorry, because there are no IFR microlights. It's likely that there's going to get some more guidance for the instructor hour, rather than just, okay, do whatever you want. There'll probably be do whatever you want, but make sure you include this, and this. Again, more details on that. Bit that I thought was funny, despite strong support for mobile devices, by which they mean SkyDemon and stuff like that, the CA still can't bring itself to include a strong endorsement to include that in the training, and they decided to kick that one down the road because there's a few people as their eyebrows were growing ever bushier. So I don't. Anyone remember that license, the EIR, en route instrument rating?
No.
It was an instrument. There is currently a license today. It exists, en route instrument rating. It doesn't really include departures or arrivals, but effectively, once you get up, you can climb into the airways and fly IFR in the air. So effectively, it's supposed to get you above cloud to fly somewhere sunnier where you get down without a need of an approach. Not many people have bothered with it, and it's going away. Basically, that will be sunsetted. You will an aerobatic rating will be required on MPPO licenses. This is once it's all sorted, so after September 2025, because it isn't currently. And the other thing is there's a glider towing rating currently that's gonna be said goodbye to as well. So that's the main high level stuff. There's still work to be done on an acceptable means of compliance and a guidance material kind of around which will fill in a lot of the detail. And obviously the DFT lawyers and the CA lawyers will have a field day and no doubt make it more complicated than it needs to be. But so far I'd give it about personally I'm going to go for 7 out of 10. on that.
I have to say I'm most disappointed that someone didn't see the chance to revolutionise the how we learn navigation and go, let's embrace tablet navigation.
Yeah. So they polled a few instructors, and about some of the replies was that, well, some people said, well, I teach that because that's what people are going to use, so I teach it anyway. Great. And other instructors said, well, I'm only going to bother. People should know the proper way. I'm only going to teach that if you make it mandatory. So, for God's sake.
So we give them an award for safety, but we don't make it part of the training.
Yeah,
you got it. So if you have an instructor that looks like should be on a plinth at the Natural History Museum, that big one that you get when you go in, then you might want to get some, who might be a fine instructor when it comes to flying, but you might want to get some extra instruction when it comes to the modern ways of using those tablets and things.
As Eretiques says, bet Tim's got more than 640 subscribers.
I think I'd be willing to bet my house on that.
Yes.
And I'm quite partial to my house. Yeah.
And Clear Cloud says it's a good job compasses were invented before GPS.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I maybe I took a little bit of a cheap shot at the CA when it came to that, but I do actually think they could do an awful lot better, to be perfectly honest with you. But there are some good things in there. And coming back to the point, only 640 of us actually replied. So if imagine the CA trying to rig it out of something, if 10,000 of us had said, well, of course you should bloody well do this.
But they don't teach in schools using slates anymore, do they? They've actually, they've got interactive whiteboards and things like that. So
they didn't have interactive whiteboards when I went to school, but that was quite a while ago.
That was it, yeah.
So so there you go. I think there's some good stuff. I think the devil will be in the detail. The AMC and the acceptable means of compliance and the guidance material will be really interesting. But clearly, aviation has a few divisions of traditionalists, shall we say?
Yeah, there's an interesting question. Midlife PPL says, do the FAA prescribe tablet nav?
I don't think they do, but equally, I don't think they've been so positive of it that you just turn up. If you turned up to take your check ride, as they call it in the US, with a E6B and a paper sectional, they would probably look at you. The instructor would probably go, "Do you want to borrow my fourth flight?"
Yes,
or something. To borrow my iPad or whatever. It's one of those things. It's a bit like going, well, okay, I know you've got a starter on this Cessna 182, but you do need to know how to hand prop it. Get out the back, call contacts, put a starch on, and we'll do that kind of thing. I mean, that's unfortunately where we are on that. I think it's time that we got it sorted out. But anyway,
yes, some good stuff there. So
some good stuff there.
Yeah. What's next?
I've got an Airfield story, which I'll rattle through really quickly because it's nearly 5 to already. So the strategic Airfield network has said that it's now more important than ever to change the definition of airfields as brownfield sites, which we've mentioned a few times on the live stream. The deadline is for the 24th of September to make comments to support the drive to change the national planning policy framework. The link to do that is in the news story on fly.co.uk, so you can go ahead and click that. The main reasons for doing so are it was never intended in the first place. The fact that airfields were ruled out as being brownfield sites, that was omitted in error about 20 years ago. So that's the number one reason. It was a complete accident. But yeah, as we know, GA airfields now are becoming more critical for the national infrastructure for air ambulances, National Police Air Service, that sort of thing. And there is a map that's been produced by the Strategic Airfield Network of the current strategically identified airfields, which covers farm strips as well. So there's everything from Easter up in the north to Bolthead in the south, and loads of places in between. So if you think you could be a strategic airfield, if you've got a farm strip or if you work at an airfield, then go ahead and make it happen. So
are we right? Johnny, you were doing some research on this earlier, and there's lots of airfields and airstrips that have all gone, we're strategic. Are we right in saying, and they had to nominate themselves, didn't they? We were right in thinking that Gloucester didn't think they were very strategic and haven't nominated themselves.
Nor Farnborough.
Nor Farnborough. Well, no. I can kind of understand Farnborough, but Gloucester.
There are a few missing, yeah. So places like Lundy Island, that's on there, and that's a strategically important. To be able to fly there is good.
Yeah. But Gloucester, not so much.
Yes.
Well, you can't really fly to. It's quite hard to fly to Gloucester.
Okay.
You have to make sure that everything's working and they've got everyone there that day, don't you?
Yeah. Annabelle.
Yes. So I have news about Airfield. So this is a startup that's installing charging points at airfields. They have started crowdfunding to support with continuing their operations. Apparently, there are around 20 British airports which will have chargers installed within the next year, and they have plans to expand the network to the USA and Australia. I don't know yet if you did miss it. We did have Phil Kingsley Dobson, who's the founder of Airfield, as our live stream guest back in July. So I'm just going to pop. If you missed it, you can watch it here.
Excellent.
Jolly good. Well, there you go. Unfortunately, I've got no money to spare, so I won't be able to do that.
And me, and I guess we'll probably call this the last story. So Chinese car maker Xpeng has put into production its land aircraft carrier flying car. Can you imagine that? It's you might be thinking, is that a Tesla Cybertruck? No, it's a really ugly Chinese, appears to be a copy. And they've gone, we'll just add some more wheels. No one will notice. And this is, it's basically, they've gone, what we need is an aircraft carrier. You might go, aircraft carrier, that's normally a ship, isn't it? But no, the Chinese are going, this is a car. So you call the car the ground module. That's got an internal combustion engine as a range extender, and you can attach your air module, which is your manned drone that you jump in and fly, and that charges from that. The pair separate. It's amazing that they had to tell you this in the press release. They separate so one can go flying. You wouldn't have imagined that otherwise. And off you go and you fly. There's room for one passenger, so you turn up with loads of people in your car and leave them all behind. So. The first public flight of this contraption is expected at the Zhuhai Air Show, which is 12th to the 17th of November this year. And I'm going to put a link in the comments to a video so that you can watch this whole crazy thing happen. So
fair enough. So Ed, was that like a heavy-ish hint that we should skip the next story on the gamma numbers and our game of higher or lower?
I don't know. Team, what do you think? Is it going to be a quick game of gamma numbers, or do we save that till next week?
Let's go for it. We can't save it for next week. Just I need rapid fire answers from you. I've got no dilly-dallying. Okay. Right. So the idea is, remember Bruce Forsyth, play your cards right, higher or lower, that kind of thing. So we're going to start out. There were 23 Cirrus SF-50s delivered. The Honda Jet, did they deliver more or less?
Less.
Yes.
Less. Fewer.
Fewer.
Yes.
Right. They delivered 20. So bearing in mind that Honda Jet delivered 20, Pilatus, did they deliver more or fewer?
More.
More.
Oh, more.
Oh, you're both right. 23. Only 3 more. So. Wow. How about the Piper PA-28 Archer Pilot 100i? Was that higher or lower?
Oh, that's their trainer, isn't it? That's got to be higher.
Correct. 56. That was their trainer at 56. What about the Cessna 172? Was that higher or lower?
Is anyone still buying those?
Well, you tell me, Ed.
I'm going to go lower.
Fewer.
Higher.
The same.
You're going fewer. Well, it was fewer, but it was not that many fewer. It was 41. And then last but not least, the effectively recently new, the Diamond DA50 was that big 5-seat luxurious diesel.
Great aeroplane, but I'm going to go less.
Yeah.
Fewer.
Lower, you're going for lower? Yep, that didn't sell 41, that sold 2.
Wow.
Delivered 2 in the quarter. Right, just the last quick thing. There were 5 manufacturers in there who scored a duck, which means for Annabelle's, means they scored 0 in the second quarter, delivered 0. Anyone want to take a guess at who they are?
Was it American Champion?
They weren't even in there.
Okay.
They weren't part of it.
Oh, Mall? No.
They weren't part of it either.
Oh, no.
Here to have withdrawn from Gamma, as far as I can see. I'll tell you, we'll put you out your misery. I'll give you the numbers, then we can move on. It was Waco, or Taco, however you pronounce it. They delivered 0 aeroplanes. Piaggio and Waco is owned by the people who own those beautiful...
The Junkers.
The Junkers, yeah. So hopefully they delivered some of those. Piaggio didn't deliver any.
They're in a weird gone bust kind of place, aren't they?
A weird gone bust. Clearly, they're just still paying for their Gamma subscription because they're still a bit. NZ Skydive, who basically run the PAC 750 now, you know, that crank wing turbine jump plane.
Nobody wanted those?
None of those jumped out. Talking of in a weird gone bust situation, Eclipse, they didn't deliver any EA550s, but they're not building those anymore, so that's not surprising. And last but not least, the company that's definitely not gone bust, there were no Airbus corporate jets delivered in the second quarter.
Shocking.
Wow.
Shocking. There was a Boeing BBJ that was delivered in the second quarter.
Okay. Paul Fraser Benison says, how many oysters?
Ed, could you just say that again? Yeah. How many what?
Yeah, how many oysters? London calling. There are no oysters sold.
Oysters sold. There weren't many oysters sold when they were in production, were they really?
Enough, I believe.
Enough. Right, enough of all that. It's time to get serious now.
There we go. Mike, just quickly, Mike said, I watched the video with the Xpeng thing. It looks like a Mars exploration vehicle.
that thing's still going, isn't it? Anyway, should we bring Sarah on?
Yes.
Here you go. Hello, Sarah. Hang on a second. Let's just rearrange you here.
Oh, how exciting.
It
wow.
is.
Oh, we've not finished yet.
Oh, that's too big.
There you go. And I'll put Annabelle at the top.
Sarah. Okay, Sarah. This week's live stream guest, Dr. Sarah Flaherty, a chartered psychologist who specialises in human performance and human factors. She has spent over 30 years applying her skills to safety-critical industries, including aviation. Welcome to tonight's live stream.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
And we're very excited to have you as well. So can you just start by telling us a bit about how you first got interested in aviation?
I can. I would love to say that as a small child, I used to stand with my nose pressed against the fence at my local airfield and dream of flying. I really didn't. I wanted to work with prisoners and criminals and things like that. But my tutor at university, a very esteemed psychologist called Professor James Reason, decided that actually I was far too middle class to work in a prison and that I should really work in aviation instead. So he had, if you cast your minds back to the 1990s, he'd been brought in as an expert witness by British Airways after the BAC 111 incident, where you remember the pilot nearly came out the windscreen. So after that, BA Engineering asked him to come in and to set up a human performance, human factors department, and I came in as a freshly scrubbed graduate and loved it. I was then asked to go and do some work in the medical industry, and I thought, I don't really want to do that. I want to stay around aircraft and around aviation, and that's what I've done ever since. Some of my work has taken me to petrochemical industries. I still work with the railways, but aviation has been my passion. I met my husband. My first love gift was a trunnion pin from a 747. So, which I still have, lasts much longer than flowers. And it's just been part of my life ever since. I've tried to leave and I can't.
The trunnion pin?
Oh, no, the trunnion pin is mine forever.
Have you got it there?
I do.
Oh, wow. That's a monster.
isn't it?
Was it wrapped up or something? Like, when you said you wanted to work with criminals, and that's why I went into aviation, I was getting a bit worried there.
Nah, I'm just fascinated with humans, why they do what they do, and that's really, well, yes, some pilots maybe. I'm just fascinated in terms of why people do what they do in certain situations, and I guess I just like to look at things slightly objectively and try to understand the reasons why, rather than making a judgment. So yeah, it doesn't really matter for me what industry I'm working in. I just find humans absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Ooh. And then you went on to do a PhD with Graham Braithwaite, who from Brownfield, who specialises in safety and accident investigation. I'd love to hear a bit about the PhD.
Yeah, so I was really lucky when I left British Airways. I went to work at Boeing out in Seattle, and I was responsible for teaching some of the customer airlines how to do investigations, because at the time most investigations led to that person's to blame. If we fire that person, get rid of that person, then obviously it won't happen again. Well, it won't happen again with that person, but typically that's not the best way to actually resolve issues. So when I was there, I turned up and they said, so what's your PhD in? And I said, I haven't got one. Sorry. And they said, oh, well, what's your master's in? I said, I haven't got one of those either. And they said, well, why did we hire you? I said, because I'm really good at my job. But it seems to me that for some reason people expect you to have a qualification. And I was lucky enough to have a chat with Graham Braithwaite, who was rather new in post at Cranfield at the time. And we started talking about what it takes to be a good accident investigator. And I said, I'd really like to do a PhD in that. And he very kindly made it happen for me. So I was really, really fortunate. I got to work with the AAIB in the UK, also the Marine and the rail equivalents. And I spent time with the NTSB as well. So it was absolutely fascinating.
And your work there led to quite a lot of changes, didn't it, in the structure of the AAIB?
Well, partly because I can't say that I'm responsible for any of this, by the way, but for years I had banged on about the fact that to join the AAIB, you were typically either a pilot or an engineer or some curious techie type of person, but they didn't really have any in-house human performance, human factors issues. And when we look at the majority of incidents and accidents, at some point there's a human being involved. And so I felt that that was probably an anomaly. And so it's nothing to do with me. I'd love to say I'm responsible for it. But certainly in latter years, they've started to bring in human factors people. They always had them on tap, people like Kinetic, but actually they now have them in-house so that they're part and parcel of the investigation right from the start.
Yeah. And what kind of things are you currently working on?
So I have the dubious pleasure, honour of being involved in lots and lots of different things. Throughout my 30-something years, and thank you for bringing that up, it makes me feel incredibly old. I've worked across the entire aviation industry. So whether it's military or civil, fixed wing rotary, I've worked for airlines or with airlines, airports, manufacturers, the regulator, etc. And so it's given me an opportunity to see things from multiple perspectives, which means that I can walk into most organizations and find similarities and differences. It's about people and stuff at the end of the day, and the stuff changes, but the people issues tend not to. And so lots of my work at the moment is in safety critical industries, looking at the railway industry, looking at how to improve performance, working with airports. I spent the last decade working alongside Luton Airport, really looking at improving performance there. They've gone on to win lots of awards, again, not down to me, but down to a commitment to do things differently and to actually put people at the center of the decisions that they're making. So yeah, I have a really interesting life. some of my clients are small companies. I have a small theatre where I go in and do some work with a group of women that don't get on very well, right up to big multinational airlines and international airports. So it's great. I really love it.
And you've been working with the CAA, I think, doing some work on just culture.
Yeah, some time ago, particularly with the ground handling community, we've been doing quite a lot of work in really looking at why people make mistakes and what we can actually do to create an environment where people feel it's okay to put their hand up. So it's about changing that culture. And I think when you were talking earlier, you talked about the aviation industry is fairly traditional and fairly conservative, and it does move at quite a glacial speed in some respects, despite, you know, our innovations in technology and things like that. So actually making it acceptable for people to say, actually, I'm a human being and I've made an error, without there being that excessive judgment around it, has been, you know, quite a step forward, I think.
Yeah. And what were the biggest changes that you've seen in the safety culture during your working life?
So when I first started, I was the human factors girly. And because I'm a psychologist, it was all seen as soft and fluffy and not real engineering or real flying. I think what I've seen over that time is a better understanding that actually we are all humans. And if we understand a bit more about our capabilities and our limitations, and we actually design systems around that, and we create and we resource and we lead and we manage our organizations with humans at the heart of it, that actually we're going to get better productivity, better safety, better efficiency. And slowly people are starting to get it, but actually we're still finding that the sort of psychology and human factors community, we're still on the outside. We have the answers, we're waving our flags. Maybe we're just not very good at PR and marketing. I don't know. But actually, it's slowly getting there. At least people are starting to talk about it, even if they don't fully understand what it is that they're talking about. So yeah, we're starting to see more openness, more honesty. But I still think we have a way to go.
And following on from that, do you think that there's enough emphasis on human factors training for new pilots?
Oh, now I don't know how long you've got, but I could get my soapbox out on this one.
Well, Ian likes a good rant, so.
Okay, I'll try not to rant. The short answer is no. But what we've tended to do is we've taken it as a module, and we've put it in a box and said, okay, you're going to learn about this. You're going to learn about situational awareness. You're going to learn about fatigue. You're going to learn about some of the basics. But I'm not sure what we've done sufficiently is integrate it into how we actually go about doing our day-to-day business, how we fly. It's always seen as slightly other. And the other thing that I sometimes have an issue with is that, and I mean no disrespect to any pilots that may be listening, very often pilots will train other pilots in terms of human performance or human factors from a pilot's perspective, not necessarily with a full understanding of all of the science that goes behind it. So I think there's almost an implicit belief that if I'm a human being, I should know everything there is to know about human beings. But you know, I can use a shower, but I don't know how to plumb one, or, you know, I can drive a car, but I don't know how to build one. So, and when it breaks, I go to a specialist to have it done. So I would like to see more specialist influence in terms of that training.
And do you think that pilots learn enough from past accidents and incidents, or do you think that people read the safety reports and go, that will never happen to me, I don't need to worry about it?
Do you know what? There are some people who are avidly all over this, and they will be able to tell you every single factual piece of information about an incident or an accident, and they will reflect on it, not only in terms of their own performance, but what it means to the community. And there are other people who are of a firm belief that actually I'm fine. Accidents are things that happen to other people who are somehow less than I am in terms of knowledge or skill or capability. So I think we always have something to learn from an accident report if it's well written. There's always something that we can pick up on. And it's having that, I guess, humility to understand that we're all humans. I mean, if I asked everybody to put their hands up if they had ever a mistake, I'm imagining that the majority of you would put your hands up. And if you don't, then I would suggest that actually you probably need some form of help because you're slightly delusional, because making mistakes is just part of the human psyche. And yet when we're working in a safety critical environment, it's really difficult to make those mistakes. And so reading other people's reports and understanding how somebody could have found themselves genuinely in a situation where things got out of control is a good way of learning. Not great for the people involved, but it should be something we should be hoisting on board.
And
go on, Ian. You'd like to ask a question.
I'm going to jump in and interrupt there. Are there any easy techniques that you could fit into like 30 seconds on how people? Well, you can have a bit more than that. How long people can learn to be learn humility, learn to learn, and to or think questions they can ask themselves. Go, am I being an idiot? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people for whom the self-reflection is going to be too difficult a task. There's a whole test. It's called the Dunning-Kruger test. In terms of, are you too stupid to understand that you are stupid? And those types of people find it more difficult to actually be sufficiently self-reflective. But in very basic terms, humans do what they do because it makes sense to them. It makes sense to them in the moment to do what they've done. And it's usually because it's an easy thing for them to do. So I think the one thing that I would want to stress is if you can stand back and be an objective observer rather than be very quick to judge, I wouldn't do that. Only a stupid person would do that. Then I think you're better placed to understand whether or not you are actually part of the problem as well.
One more question.
Go on.
But you might want to save it for the end. The human factors are we going to have artificial intelligence factors coming into human factors? Or
well, gosh, that's a good one. But where does AI come from? AI comes from, I mean, until we move into kind of Terminator territory, where we really have, Skynet that's taking over and thinking for itself. At some point, there are going to be human beings that are teaching and training. So I think we need to be mindful of that. There will be things that AI can do and technology can do that actually it's hard for humans to do, those repetitive tasks, crunching lots of data, things like that. But I think we're always going to need human beings to make some decisions. And I think one of the best decisions we can make is possibly not to let AI get ahead of itself.
Yeah. There's a good question, which I think Annabelle flashed up earlier. Alice Crutchfield says, do you have any top tips on how to approach the human factor side of investigations in a sensitive yet effective manner?
Again, I would reiterate that taking a step back and being empathetic and being objective is the best way of doing it. Anytime you go into an investigation with a feeling that you wouldn't have done it, and possibly only a stupid person would have done it, that's obviously going to bias the way that you treat people. So it's really about being an objective sort of bystander or observer, and going through things in a systematic way so that we can encourage conversations about why things may have happened. I think we as human beings like to find the answer to everything. And I think sometimes there are incidents that occur where we'll never get to the reason, the one golden rivet or nugget or whatever, as to why something has happened. But I think even exploring around it can be useful, not only for the people involved, but for the wider community to learn a little bit more about the event.
Dave D asked the question, Sarah, should the Dunning-Kruger test be part of pilot's licensing? Slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, well, yes. Being a pilot is a strange blend of confidence, because obviously, you are up doing things that actually human beings possibly shouldn't be doing. Fighting against gravity, and then when you're in charge of a big aircraft and you have all those souls behind you, then you need somebody that's going to be confident, but you also need to have that balance where people are going to be sufficiently self-reflective to understand that they don't have a godlike status simply because they're in an aircraft. Sorry, I said it out loud. So it's that fine balance. How do you make sure that you have somebody that is calm and confident and yet sufficiently self-reflective to understand when actually they may not have the answers and they may need to rely on somebody else?
Aerotiques Darren says, air traffic control human factors training, I feel, is inadequate too. There's so much scope to improve this across the industry.
I'm just going to agree. There is some stuff, and we have moved forward, but most psychologists and human performance and human factors people sit there with their head in their hands. Certainly when you find theories that have actually been rejected, refuted, that are still being used in the aviation industry, and where the aviation industry is now going out and telling every other safety critical industry how fab it is and how much of a control it has. I still think we all should just have a little bit of humility, because there's more to learn. There's always more to learn.
If you had to rank the safety critical industries in which you've worked, most advanced to most retarded, whereabouts would aviation come on that ranking?
Aviation thinks it's really good.
Yeah.
That's a politician's answer.
I think that there's stuff to learn. There's definitely stuff to learn. Aviation is fortunate in that it has a really robust, whatever you think of the regulators, it has that robust regulatory framework. You don't have lots of competing demands that you would have in, say, healthcare, where you've got multiple disciplines all responding to different bits of legislation and no overarching legislation that you would have, say, from ICAO. And so you've got too many competing demands. Healthcare are really good in terms of research and thinking and teaching and learning, much better than aviation. Aviation assumes that because I'm technically good at doing something, that means that I'm a proficient instructor, or I should be teaching things like human factors and human performance. It doesn't always follow through. Each industry has some pluses, but definitely some room for improvement.
Clear Cloud asked the question, instead of asking how someone else might have done something, should we ask, how would I have made that mistake?
Absolutely. If we take ourselves and we put ourselves in any situation, as a human being, we are just as likely to fall into whatever trap somebody else did. But there's a lovely concept called a fundamental attribution error, which means that if I make a mistake, I am much more likely to blame the situation than I am to blame myself. And yet, if somebody else makes a mistake, I'm much more likely to blame that person than I am the context in which they're working. So we have to fight against some kind of inner cognitive biases that we already have as human beings to be able to address some of these things. But yeah, we should really be looking at things objectively and with a bit of humility.
Do you actually have any top tips for how to tell? I'm going to channel my inner Ian, whether you're being an idiot.
Well, let me think. Do people move away from you in the supermarket? That's always a good one. Do you get uninvited to dinner parties? But also, you know, if you're doing something or you've done something and you sit back and you think, would my wife, husband, partner, best friend, or my dog look at me in that slightly disapproving way?
My dog always be like that.
That one.
Yeah.
Then chances are you're probably being a bit of an idiot and you should stop.
Okay.
There's a question here. There you go. Do HF specialists have happier marriage and relationships then?
Well, I think we have a much greater insight into why people are doing things, but actually we're still human, so we're still going to mess up. My husband loves it when I explain why he shouldn't get cross when somebody's cut him up in the traffic, because clearly, you know, obviously they were just doing the thing that they thought was, you know, the right thing to do at the time. Having the bleeding obvious pointed out to you by your partner is possibly not a recipe for a happy marriage. But I have to say, having a trunnion pin.
That's the secret, is it?
It is. Being able to talk about aeroplanes is, yeah, that's the secret to a happy marriage.
And on that bombshell.
What a fantastic line that was.
Yeah. Alice says, a great inspiration to this fledgling aviation safety inspector and human factors enthusiast. Thank you, Sarah, for your contribution to aviation.
If anybody's got any questions, do reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. Happy to chat.
Sarah, it's been an absolutely fascinating pleasure. The time has gone far too quickly. I kind of regret having the gamma game now with the numbers. We should have had more Sarah and less gamma game.
I have already said to Sarah that we need to get her on for a webinar, and she didn't say no. So there may be an opportunity for more Sarah. Maybe we can make it a double. I don't know.
See, I guess if we'd known in the cockpit resource management that is live stream, where I said maybe we should leave the gamma thing, and it's like Ian overruled that. Sarah, you can see the problems that we deal with.
Well done for trying, Ian. It's a learning point.
It is. Ed, in future, perhaps you should go. I feel quite strongly that we should move. I don't know. I apologise to everybody for the gamma thing. We should have had more Sarah. Hopefully we'll get Sarah along for a webinar, and that'll be even better.
Well, that's very funny. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I need to do something at this point, don't I?
I would say it's time for Fancy Hanger. So I'm just scrolling. See, and I was scrolling to find the video, and you just took over. We could have crashed.
We need some procedures written here, I feel.
No. Well, that would make us better. So Marcus said, we like Sarah, best guest so far. Top guest, a real person. What brilliant guest. Thank you. Can we have a Sarah webinar? Fascinating guest. Top. This has been my favorite talk so far. And lots more like it.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Very, very good. So, Fancy Hanger, we were short of ideas yesterday when we did our planning meeting, and we went, let's put it out to the live stream extra audience who said, gave us the idea to go. We ended up with most versatile aeroplane. So, this is about something that hopefully does a little bit of many things well. So, who's first?
Me.
Annabelle.
Please.
What's your most versatile pick?
My choice is the Glasair Sportsman. I believe this is the only full-seat GA aircraft that can be reconfigured in a matter of hours as a tail dragger or a trike with floats, skis, or tundra tyres. It has folding wings. it can easily be trailered. Depending on the engine, the cruise is up to 150 knots, stall around 42, and a range of up to about 1,200 nautical miles. According to the books, the takeoff distance is less than 400 feet, landing distance of less than 800 feet. It's high wing, but it has 2 large perspex panels in the roof, and they give excellent visibility. And it's the bigger version of the Glass Star, which I have, but it has 4 seats rather than 2 and increased carrying capacity. Access is also better. So for entry into the baggage area, there's a rear door rather than the small orifice of the Glass Star.
And John Milner says, Annabelle wins. And I've got to say, that is a very strong start.
Yes.
Aviator Steve just says, useful.
Yes.
Who's next?
Johnny.
I have gone for the Cessna 185. Open the door, shove it full of stuff until you can't fit any more stuff in, close the door, fill the tanks, and go.
That is very versatile.
It doesn't have floats.
It what, sorry?
It doesn't have floats. Can't put floats on it. Not in a couple of hours. Yeah, but
what are you talking about? Of course you can put
floats on it.
There's Cessna 180 people all over the world pinning you up on a dartboard at the moment.
Yeah, not in a couple of hours.
You can put floats on it. You can put skis on it. The only thing you can't do that you can do with your glassy thingy is transform it into a trike. But why the hell would you ever want to do that?
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, true.
But yeah, well, there you go. I think it's me next. Leaving Ed. Ed wins for last. I kind of went for this.
Oh wow, that's a blast from the past.
Lisa. It made an appearance at Oshkosh a couple of times. Built by a French company somewhere near the French Alps. They was sold to a Chinese company who forgot to send them any money, so they went bust a few years ago. But it had retractable gear, so it could land on the hard or grass. It had skis. It's a Akoya Lisa, or it was known as a Lisa before it was an Akoya Lisa, but we'll just go with Akoya Lisa for now. And it can land on water, it can land on snow, it can pretty much land wherever you want. Powered by Rotax, 2 seats, side by side, super nice little flying airplane. It just looks a bit weird. So in the end, I decided that a Catalina was better. Because you can land on the water, you can land on the ground, you can walk around in the back, you can make a cup of tea, you can have a galley, you can bring your mates along. I figured that there you go. That was my.
I suspect. Mike Roberts says, "Oh, Ian, I'm pulling Sarah's disappointed look. Probably not about your Catalina choice. The Akoya Lisa that did seem like that was a very versatile aeroplane. It's just a shame it never got made.
It was one of those things that was really well thought out, made a whole lot of sense, but it just never got made.
Absolutely. However, something that was made a lot, and if you ask anyone certainly any bush pilot, if what is the most versatile choice, they will tell you it's this. I've gone for the magnificent Beaver. It's not nose wheel, but who wants nose wheel? It's on normal undercarriage. You can have it on skis. You can have it on floats. You can put a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's got a radial. It burns dinosaurs, and it just this is the mic drop of all versatile aeroplanes.
It's not a nose gear. It's a twin nose gear.
This one is a twin nose gear, but only because that's occasionally you want wheels instead of floats. But there we go. See, the doctor says Ed wins. What an aircraft! So yeah. So and what have we got? What have we got in the comments? Well, Mark Albury's probably about all of our choices. It's not aerobatic. Pilatus Porter. Surprised we didn't get one of those. Swiss Army knife, and it's even Swiss.
I've already got one of those in my fancy hangar, so I decided.
Yeah, true.
And then
I was trying to think. I don't think I've ever picked a Beaver and actually had it win. So it might finally be how I get Beaver in my hangar. What do we get? A strong start, but we know someone with a glass star that's proving not versatile.
Oh, that's a glass star, not a sportsman.
Marketing blurb too much. Johnny wins. What we got? Annabelle still wins. Ed wins. Catkin likes de Havilland. Oh, Paul Fraser Benison, bring out your inner Av geek. The Edgar Percival EP9. Anyone remember what that is? That was a versatile aeroplane. That's a bit like the Miles Aerocar. No, the Miles Aerovan. So Ed wins. Pilatus PC6. Ed wins. I think this might be an Ed wins.
I think you could be right.
Oh, Mark Albury says Ski Gull. No, by Bert Rutan's own admission at Oshkosh this year, he called it an SD, which is
Ski Gull.
Well, yeah. The first word is a curse word, which we try and avoid here, and the second word was design. It was basically not very satisfactory design. He stood up on stage and said, which is a shame because so many Rutan designs are novel. Ed wins. A new guest, a new presenter, Jenny, and the 185.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone again.
It's gone.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, come back,
Can I
Ed.
just say, Ridders, I know you're there. You owe Air Ambulance £10.
Jolly good.
I figured out what happened. So you may have noticed, and someone did say, someone asked earlier, Ed, how do we get the mugs and baseball caps? Are they discounted for members? I'll come back to that. I'm in the Flyer studio on a laptop, and I've just discovered that swiping across the keypad, across the mouse pad, actually exits the software, which is what happened to me earlier and just happened to be there just then. So,
fair enough.
Midlife PPL, to answer your question, the mugs are for Fly Club members who fly into Wadswick. That's the only way to get those. And come and see us on a Wednesday when we do the Skydemon. And the hats
go to the landing fees page of the website for the info on the mugs.
That's it. The hats are lovely hats from the Raduno event this year, and you can't buy those. So,
no. But basically, you need to be a member and you need to fly in. It's the only way you'll get one of the rare mugs that we've got.
£10 sorted.
Cool. Right, should we have a few events, Johnny?
Yeah, I'll run through them super quick. So Jersey Air Show all weekend, the Microlight Show in Blois, which is 13th to 15th. Icons of the Sky at Longleat, 13th to 15th. Carnarvon Flying on the 14th. Deanland Barbecue, 14th. Sutton Meadows Barbecue, 14th. Scottish Aero Club Flying for Fun Day on the 14th. Duxford Battle of Britain Show, 14th to 15th. Open Day at the Ulster Aviation Society on the 14th. Stoke Fest 24 at Stoke Medway on the 14th. British Aerobatics event at Dunstable Downs on the 14th. Yorkshire Air Museum Open Cockpits, again, the 14th. Newton Ard's Family Fun Day, 15th. The Auster fly in at Popham on the 15th. VPAC, the final flying of the year at Leicester, is on the 15th. Spotters Day at Western Helicopter Museum, and the Vintage Glider Club Rally at Kingston Deverell, which is the 16th through to next weekend, 22nd.
Apparently, there's also an airability flying at Carnarvon this Saturday, according to Catkin.
Amazing, isn't it?
And plus, tonight, the Flying Professor says there's an Aurora likely tonight.
I've just got my camera charging.
Bloody cold outside. Right, anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, SkyDemon, for supporting the show. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, team. Thank you, Sarah. And we hope you have a great weekend flying. Looks like there's tons of stuff to do and some nice weather. So take care out there. Read those accident reports, get some humility and all the rest of it. Have a good one. And we'll see you Wednesday if you're a member. Please join. Thursday if you're not, loser. And
Tuesday with Lucy.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much, everyone. See y'all.
Safe flying.
Bye.